Thank you. Good morning, colleagues, esteemed guests, and partners joining us here at the beautiful Fusion Boutique Hotel in Polokwane, and those joining us across the country online. It is my honor to welcome you to this inaugural colloquium on community education and training. This gathering marks not only a pivotal moment for the community education and training sector, but also a proud milestone. 40 years of Kagiso Trust's enduring commitment to human dignity, equity, and development education. From its origins during one of South Africa's darkest periods, Kagiso Trust has remained a beacon of transformative leadership and community empowerment. Today's colloquium continues that legacy. By shifting our focus from history to what's needed now, a collective reimagining of how we educate, empower, and include those that are left out of the formal education system. Our time together this morning is brief, but intentional. Over the next 2 hours, we will reflect deeply on the value and state of community education and training, engage critically with the latest research findings from Kagiso Trust, and co-create a way forward, not just with words, but with an actionable annual advocacy plan for the CET sector, sealed with a shared pledge of commitment. This is not just another conference. It's a working session. Your voice, your insights, your experience, they are needed today. Whether you represent government, a college, a nonprofit, a business, or are simply passionate about education, this is your space. As we begin, I invite you to ask yourself, what must we do differently to ensure that community education and training does not remain the forgotten child of our education system, but becomes the cornerstone of inclusive human development? With that spirit in mind, I now invite our first speaker to officially welcome us, Professor Malusi Kola, Deputy Chairperson of the Limpopo CET College Council, who will ground us in the context and agency of this important gathering. Prof. Kola, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well. You should be well because this is one of the distinctive hotels in town. So probably the setting, the meal, and everything is just perfect. So there's no way you can be less well. Well, on behalf of the Limpopo College Community Education and Training, we would like to first and foremost welcome the Deputy Minister. I'm told that we are doing it in a hybrid way. I would like to express the warm welcome on behalf of the college to the Honorable Ndate Manamela. This is the second time that we engage as a college with Ndate Manamela, the Honorable Deputy Minister. Early in the year, we met somewhere at the Community Learning Center at Mapelwane, and that on its own reflected the commitment he has towards the advancement of the community education. Today again, we're meeting to reflect on the commitment towards advancement of the community education. And then I'd like to extend the other special welcome to Kagiso Trust. 40 years of igniting human capacity, and you are still going ahead. I saw somewhere it's written, and beyond. And I must confirm that I benefited too during my early years at the former technical and elsewhere. So what a milestone to Kagiso Trust. May you have another 40 years. Special welcome to board members. I know the honorable members here. Ntate Nuptialo, we met somewhere around Beggarsford the other time. And I noted that we even have Ntate Mola. And let me just say, all the senior management and board members from Kagiso and the staff in general, but I'll try to do a direct translation to acknowledge individuals. It signifies discrimination. I think I got it right. You can quote me on that. We do welcome the partnership that Kagiso has with the Department of Higher Education, because we are benefiting as colleges. And I'm happy that when I look at the theme, reflection of community education and training, looking at the state of out of the school education and training, this is something that we can build on and take it home. Again, to all the stakeholders that are here, I noted the University of Limpopo. I see Prof. Temani here, and he was asking me, what are you doing here? And I said to him, you don't know me. You'll know me when we leave here. Yeah, and I guess Prof. Temani is not alone. Yeah, all the stakeholders that are there, you are welcome. The mandate of the community college is this. The colleges are established to complement the National Skill Development Strategy. That's the mandate. So as we reflect in terms of our theme, the focus should be there. And given the theme, I'm saying it is rather imperative that we collectively pause and reflect if we are course. The Limpopo Community Education Training College has values that we subscribe to: integrity, professionalism, Ubuntu, and dedication. And we appreciate the initiative by Kagiso, and looking forward to working together. Having said that, feel at home. Traditionally, if there's some gatherings at home, people tend to say, Dimpia dihokilwe. Dimpia, I guess, is those angles that tend to misbehave. So it's like they've been told to behave. And again, they will inform you where the ablution facilities are. So I'm as good as you here. I don't even know. I'm still going to ask. But anyway, I think this is the right door. In case nature call, I think this is the right door. You'll be assisted. Yeah, let's work together and find the common purpose. Having said that, you're all welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for the warm welcome. And now we move on to a rich conversation led by two influential voices on the ground in the community education and training implementation. This section reflects on where we are as a sector and how we can do more for those not in employment, education, or training. Often young people hungry for opportunity. Please welcome Dr. Murachuhi Takalo, who is the chairperson of the Limpopo CET College Council, and Dean Zoitao Nebutalu, who is the chair of Kagiso Trust's Programs Committee. Thank you.
I'm very brief, so. Thank you very much, Program Director. Good morning, everybody. My name is Muratsore Takalo. I'm the chair of Council of Limpopo Community Education and Training College. I'm just going to give a brief overview of what we are doing. And we are not the only community education and training college. There are 9 of us. Each province has a community college, and we offer programs through community centers. We used to be known as ABET, but we have grown so much that ABET is a little bit of what we are doing. Actually, I wonder for how long will we be talking about ABET, because our population is growing and our population is getting educated. Many people can read and write. So we still offer those programs, but we are no longer ABET. We are a college. We offer skills programs. We still have those programs, yes, ABET L4 to NQF. Our target population is changing very, very fast. We no longer identify this sector as composed of people of over 60 years old. Our target now is very, very young. And we are accommodating anybody and everybody who is not in school or in any formal educational system. We accommodate from the smallest age to the biggest age, as long as you can walk into a college and want to develop yourself. I've already said that we still have some ABET programs that we offer. And as I said, I'm talking about the sector in general. And if there are any representatives from the Department of Higher Education, they will expatiate on that. We offer programs that lead to further studies, job opportunities, and entrepreneurship. In other words, the programs that we offer allow our graduates to immediately after graduation become business people or get into job opportunities. We also offer formal programs, and the principal will expatiate on that. Those that are offered by the CETs, and if they are offered by the CETs, anybody and everybody should know that they are accredited. We still offer non-formal programs. Those are programs such as beadwork, pine gel making, etc. And I'm also thinking about joining those programs because I was very, very bad in handwork. And now I see myself wanting to get busy and have a business. I think the beadwork one will do because it's very, very popular. We welcome partnerships such as this because if the public and the private do not work together, this project will not progress. It is a huge, huge project, and it is the project that our country depends on. We may not want to accept it, but this sector is the core of the development of this country because we know we need skills. We know we need people or graduates that can immediately get into jobs, but also have an opportunity to grow and grow academically, go into higher education institutions. But we also know that we need people, entrepreneurs, that will grow the economy, that will hire other people. And if we are sensitive enough, we will realize that our youth are very entrepreneurial. And some of them are even skilled. All what they need is that paper that says this person is skilled in X, Y, Z. So the support of all the partners. And when we talk of partners, we are not only talking about industry. We are even talking about individuals. I may be standing on a big bag of rents, and I don't know what to do with them. We welcome such partnerships where individuals, companies, industry, and even institutions can come together to all empower this big population of our country. It is a sector that is non-discriminatory. They are not saying if you haven't passed your grade 9, you cannot come in. We are not saying if you don't have a certificate, you won't come in. We are not saying if you have never been at school, you won't come in. It is a sector that welcomes everybody who is not in school. And we have a lot of young people, the NEETs, that are roaming the streets simply because they do not know. But from today, each one of us needs to be an ambassador. We need to go out there and say, there is something called Community Education and Training College. And there is this big, huge college called Limpopo Community Education and Training College. Go there, find out, and we will get the information and all the contacts when you need them. I see all our deputies are here of the college. You can ask any of them about how do I get in, because each one of us here can get in. Or how do I get my cousin, my daughter, my son to get into the college? So in brief, what I would like to say is this is a sector that is growing very, very fast, but it can grow even faster. It is a sector that still needs us to educate each other about everything that is done in the sector. But it is a very, very critical sector that can hasten the growth of our economy, as we need skills, as we need entrepreneurs, as we need also partnerships that can help to grow the sector. So program director, that's the little bit that we can say with the time constraints that we have. We hope that this gathering will grow the communication and the information sharing about the sector. I thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you can tell the height. But at least Dean Nebutali, we are the same height, so you won't have to adjust. So I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you, Dean Zoitao Nebutali. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Greetings to the speakers, my partner in conversation, Dr. Takalo, the chair of Limpopo Community Education and Training College Council, the acting principal of Limpopo CET College, Mr. Sibetlene, sir, CET College officials and stakeholders. I understand there's even officials from the Deputy Minister's office. And there are also people online, and also greetings to my Kagiso Trust executives and officials whom I have seen here. The speaker before us spoke about a distinctive hotel where we are, Fusion. I also thought I was coming to a distinctive hotel, and when I got in there, I said, may I please have a cappuccino decaf? And they said, we only have filter coffee here. So can we ask you to tell the distinctive hotel to buy a coffee machine for our next meeting? my task here is going to be very easy. The first one is to setting the scene by sharing a brief of what we know and understand as Kagiso Trust about the CET college space. By the way, someone was wishing us, the program director was wishing us we should be there for 40 more years. I can disappoint him by telling him that we are actually planning for 100 more years. So, and we believe we have got everything it takes for us to be around in over 100 years. We are covered. So we are looking at 100 years. The second issue is to register our concerns about the consequences of not capturing young people, not in employment, education, or training, what is known as NEET situation. A very, very grave situation indeed. And maybe I can also share a little bit here one of the consequences of having these young people roaming around. In my other space, I advise on HIV and AIDS in South Africa. And what we have discovered, research has discovered that the highest infections amongst young people is amongst young people who are neither in education, in employment, or in training. So you can see that there are other issues that comes into play, which are not very good social ills, which I will mention later down. Our understanding from today's dialogue will empower Kagiso Trust with the knowledge as to how the CET colleges are managing to contribute to addressing these young people who are neither in education, employment, or training situation, as I mentioned earlier on. Now, there are things we know about this. What we know, Gibson and Ariane write in the working paper series titled Profile of Young People Not in Employment, Education and Training, aged 15 to 24 years in South Africa, an annual update that, based on the statistics, State South Africa quarterly labor force survey and the general household survey, they found that over the past decade, an analysis of the quarter 1 2013 to 2023, the number of youth in this space that I have just outlined has remained close to 3 million. 30% of the youth in this age group, 3 million. The majority of the young people in these circumstances, about 2.5 million, equates to up to 68%. They come from income-poor households. So about 68% of them come from income-poor households. The authors further indicate that the education level of these young people in need is estimated majority not having matriculated. The question is, are they accessing community education and training institutions or in the street looking for jobs, or some of them consumed by circumstances, by substance abuse, or some of them in jail because they engage in crime, frustrated and on the verge of even suffering mental health consequences already. Gibson and Ariane further indicate characteristics of a young person in need situation, not in education, employment and training, circumstances as predominantly female with matric or lower than matric, from income-poor households, resides in urban areas, and they are unemployed. The repercussions of lack of skills: you have limited labor pool required to contribute to the self-reliance, economic participation and benefits, worsening unemployment, inequality and poverty, slow improvement of our country's socio-economic development and growth status dependency, increasing social ills that befalls young people. The focus of ABET then, or CET institutions today, should look at skills development today, and it should be, in our view, biased towards vocational and technical skills, including artisanship and entrepreneurship. I want to just bring a little bit of my experience here. Very interesting. A few years ago, I went to the US, not very long time ago, and one of the biggest employment drivers in the US is the restaurant industry. Americans don't like to cook at home, and they like to eat out. You find notices everywhere. We are hiring, we are hiring, we are hiring. So actually it absorbs a lot of the kind of people that we are talking about. That is where they work. It's the restaurant industry. And then I went to Thailand. I don't know if some of you have gone to Thailand. One of the biggest generator of employment in Thailand is the food industry. I'm just making an example. You will walk kilometers and kilometers on a street with just food outlets and very well organized. In fact, everybody is eating there. You can think about it. So, and not only are they well organized, but they are very cost effective. It's very cheap to buy that food there. And then in South Africa, you can see we have got a very chaotic roadside food stalls. Very few people here would like to go and eat there. I don't know if many, but they prepare nice food. They are not organized, and some of them are not trained in terms of skills, hygienic skills. That's why you don't want to go there. You know, you don't know in food preparation thing. And you can see that there are other countries who are just using the food preparation skills to drive a lot of employment. And of course, they collaborate with other people like municipalities and so on, and you become to have a big industry that absorbs a lot of our people. And imagine what we could do already, because like in the South African situation, there's always, this is what you could think community education and training colleges can be innovative about and benchmark about what happens in other countries and actually transform the situation of these young people who are neither in education, employment, or even in training. Then we have got the era of fourth industrial revolution and disruptive digital technology, which presents an opportunity for capturing young people, not in employment, into upskilled opportunities. Access to these colleges and centers has to be promoted rigorously. They have to really be promoted. And one would even say, venture to say, I'm happy that the department is here. Not only be promoted, but we must invest in them. Because sometimes these colleges have very little resources to be innovative and to dream and to bring in new other skills which they can see can actually benefit young people. So the Department of Higher Education needs to really make it very seriously in terms of investing in them, resourcing these colleges. CET colleges and centers should be supported, of course, in different ways, even by our non-profit organizations. And this is at the point in which I'm actually ending this. The people, some of my team reminded me that I actually, in the board programs committee meeting, really advise the executives to have a conversation like this one. And I'm very excited today that it has actually materialized. And I hope that something very good is going to emerge out of today's short, quite short, 2 hours conversation for the benefit of these young people primarily who are neither in education, employment, or training, most of whom are actually women. I thank you.
Thank you, Dean Nebutalu. We really appreciate the insights and the reflections on the state of the community education and training and how we can do more for those who are not in employment, education, or training, as you were calling them, the NEET. And again, thank you, Dr. Takalo, for your reflections as well. We really appreciate. I've noted the insights in terms of inclusivity, making sure that everyone gains access, and the fact that you focus more on further studies, jobs, and entrepreneurship. And Dean Nebutalu, you also mentioned the 4IR, which includes technology and upskilling. So that maybe is a question that you can answer for me later. Like, how can we get the CET colleges to be more visible in rural communities, since we are also mentioning technology? So how do we get them to be more visible in those rural communities? Because I feel like a lot of rural communities are, we still have a lot of awareness to create around the importance of CET and its value to the youth. And next, we turn to research and operational insights. And I would like to acknowledge Dean Nebutalu for recommending this research. It's gonna be a panel discussion that will be led by Mr. Themba Mula. He will start first and followed by Mr. Silaelo Sibitlini. So we reflect on what is working, what needs urgent change. So this panel discussion explores the state of CET colleges and shares powerful findings from a recent Kagiso Trust conducted in Limpopo, lessons that echo across the country. Please welcome our first panelist, Mr. Themba Mula, who is the Chief Operations Officer at Kagiso Trust.
Program Director. Good and gentlemen, I'm told there are other people are online. I also extend my greetings to Kagiso Trust is, as already mentioned, celebrating its 40th anniversary. And as part of the celebrations, we thought it's important that we should facilitate conversations around various issues that are affecting our communities. So this is not just a once-off event. There are several other conversations that we will be convening as part of a celebration. So yes, we have allocated a shorter time for today, but we have an opportunity to invite other stakeholders and engage further on this important conversation. We have a vision, like any other organization, working towards a prosperous and a peaceful and equitable society. And in that quest, we are in program design and model design, which is meant to look at instances where transformation has not reached the majority of the people that are supposed to participate. So we look at programs that maximize participation. So we've chosen different ecosystems, which over years we have designed solutions which are meant to make sure that those who have been excluded participate. So there will be a program in an ecosystem like ACD Agriculture, which is working with farmers to mainstream their participation. But also we looked at a program that has a wider reach, and as you can imagine, education is one of those. And public schooling has presented several challenges, and over the years we have designed a model that is meant to see how we can ensure that people who are in that ecosystem participate fully and are given access to an education system that can ensure that they receive quality education. I'm not going to take you through the process that we follow, except to mention that it's quite an extensive process which we do with partners that work with us in the implementation. And I should also mention that when I mention partners, I'm not necessarily saying that Kagiso Trust, as it is popularly known, or previously known as providing grant, we make money available and walk away. We actually work in partnership. There is a concerted effort. So people in Kagiso Trust, they partner with government. If I may just indulge you on the education program, where we looked at what is the problem with public schooling and what type of programs can we implement to make sure that the majority of the learners who are benefiting from the system can access the quality education accessible to others. And we designed a model which we have been implementing and which has shown quite impressive improvements in the education system, which really deals with the whole pipeline because it's about systemic change, collaboratively with other partners. Someone is asking, would ask, why do you want to do what government should be doing? I think there is an appreciation that unless other partners join that effort, it becomes an enormous function that can transform the ecosystem, and therefore it requires a collaboration that can make sure that the system works. So when one mentions the CET space, we become interested. I mean, as Rev Zo mentioned, there's quite a lot of people who, millions who have fallen between the cracks from formal schooling, whom we think this community education and training is meant to benefit. So we were interested in seeing to what extent, because even in provinces where we work, we do come across community education and training colleges. And the question is, how else can we work with them so that we can maximize participation, even of those who are not necessarily in formal schooling? We understand the NDP talks about an eventual number of 1 million people who should be participating in the CET space. Obviously, if you look at the current numbers, they are far below, and that means there must be concerted effort to deal with that particular space, popularize it, but also make sure that the courses that are given there can make people's lives turn around sooner. So we also wanted to understand why is this participation important. And our starting point is really to say, if we have to establish a resilient, adaptable system that provides a lifelong journey, let us understand what is the stark reality that we have as a country and appreciate who are we talking about. And I'm sharing with you these graphs because it really gives you a sense of the challenges that we are facing. One can say that South Africa remains an unequal society with high levels of poverty and high levels of unemployment. And the people that we're talking about, especially young people, if you look at the graph that I've just shown there, which is the youth by educational attainment, you find that quite a large number of young people have less than matric. So this is the challenge that we face. How do we then deal with this cohort to mainstream their participation, to make sure that they participate in the economy? So that is the reason why the stack reality is quite important. You also look at the employment opportunities created through TVET, and also the graduate people who have a graduate qualification. The disparities are still huge, and therefore it means we need to do something ultimately. There is the work-based learning that has been introduced, and the question is, to what extent is it really addressing the opportunity of participation in the economy? And as you can see from the graphs that I'm showing here, there is very little that has happened. Now, here is the thinking. If DBE, or Department of Basic Education, has designed a system which after 1994 has made sure that there is universal access to education, as you would know that there are non-fee paying schools, which at least has given a lot of young people opportunity to participate. And some even argues that the nutrition program ensures that learners who are coming from poor communities can at least remain within the schooling system. But unavoidably, some of the learners that are there in the mainstream basic education system get lost because of the throughput is still low. There is repetition. Progress learners, some of you would know the story about progress learners. So how do we reduce the dropout rate? How do we create exit opportunities? And this is where the CET comes in. Obviously, when one looks at the post-schooling environment, it's bigger than the examples that I've used today. I'm just trying to say that the majority of our learners, as mentioned by Rev, who are not in employment, not in training, remain trapped without options. Although some of them would obviously get an opportunity to go to university, there is a clamoring, as you would know, towards university and limited opportunities of participation because of lack of resources and so on. So there is this huge number, growing number of people that get lost from the public schooling system, who have nowhere to go. And the CET, in our view, then provides that opportunity. And that is the reason why we wanted to understand, what does this space entail? And there is a document, a report that has been circulated, which captures the study which was commissioned through Wits University School of Education. Because we wanted to, before we can move in and really begin to tackle the challenges that are in the space of this majority of people that are left behind, what is it that we should understand? And then this study was meant to understand the current state of CET, and also do both qualitative and quantitative study. So that report that has been circulated has all that information. I'm not going to go through the details of that report, but suffice to say that this is a study that was commissioned and done through a university to make sure that we have a better understanding. And then recommendation presented to us. But obviously you who are gathered here and also online have lived experiences of the sector. So over and above the study that has been commissioned, we can then appreciate what are really the problems that are confronting the CET, so that when we design programs where we operate and collaborate in partnership, we can make sure that those programs work. So the study, as run by a university, followed a structured process of conducting survey, document analysis, interviews and observations, and I think it has captured those results. It has also presented the nuances between the provinces. Obviously, Gauteng and Western Cape, urbanization and migration challenges, and what does it mean or what is the implication for CET if it has to be implemented in that instance. Also looked at KwaZulu-Natal, which one might argue that has the similar landscape as Limpopo in terms of the rural access and infrastructure challenges. I mean, some of the areas in Limpopo are faced with a similar situation. And therefore, the design of CET needs to be responsive to these problems as highlighted by the case study that was conducted. And then it goes on to talk about Limpopo. Obviously, part of the problems in Limpopo is people who are confronted with poverty and unable to remain within the schooling system and dropping out sooner than expected because they have got to make a living. And then how do we then find those people and make sure that we give them a meaningful relevance in the CT space? And so on and so on. I mean, there will be other provinces like the Northern Cape and so on. I think the point here is really to say that the case study looked at the provincial profile and made us to understand what are the challenges that are faced there, because CET, in our view, and obviously even how it is intended, it must deal with localized challenges so that it is responsive in terms of providing those opportunities. The study also looked at the international setup and look at how other countries are responding to the space. And you'll read the details already. I'm not going to talk about those details. But what I want to emphasize is that we then appreciate, which is what the introductory remarks made by the speakers before, that the CET has an opportunity to provide general education certification. It has also an opportunity to give a second chance to the matriculants who drop out from the formal school. Also provides the National Senior Certificate for adults, and also provide pre-vocational programs, localized skills program, and community education programs. But it can not provide these programs fully if one does not appreciate the challenges that it faces. And we have just tried to summarize some of the challenges that the CET faces with an intention of saying, how then do we join together in partnership to resolve those challenges that the space confronts? Because unless these challenges are resolved, we then have a problem of not absorbing this many people that are left without alternatives. The study noted that there are issues of governance shortcomings within the CET. Also noted that the issues of access and retention of the students that get exposed into the CT space. I mean, someone was even saying that there are learners who are currently writing exams. Those registered, there's a certain number that people got registered, but those that come to write, there are fewer. So those are the challenges. Limited student support. How do we establish those centers that can provide time on task for students that get exposed to the CET space? Dedicated infrastructure. Obviously, some of the infrastructures that are currently being used are your typical schools. How do we create centers that can provide these various services as mentioned by the previous speakers? I mean, there are centers which provide that magnitude of services. The question is, how do we extend those services to be available in most areas so that they are accessible? Inadequate funding, I think somebody mentioned that the programs in the CET are limited because of the funding that goes into them is limited. So there could be programs that can deal with these challenges of access, but they are not adequate enough because of the funds. But also poor linkages with partnerships. The assumption is that business will come on board and other stakeholders will come on board. But what is the structured approach that can ensure that these partners come on board and there is a comprehensive program that gets implemented? I think our experience in terms of this collaborative effort is really making sure that the program has an impact that can be measured on a regular basis. it's one thing to say we are a community center that provides the following skills. It's another to then say, are those skills assisting people to participate in their various pursuits, either to be reintroduced back into schooling or also run their own localized initiatives. So this is where the challenge lies. And I think we will learn from lived experience of yourselves. How are you dealing with this so that when we have to think of a program that can respond to these challenges, we can really become, put effort into it. These are some of the proposed interventions that the study made. I mean, this list is not exhaustive necessarily, but it talks about governance revitalization, curriculum transformation, IKS-centric curriculum, especially on short-term community courses, teacher development, and resource provision. I mean, the list could even be longer, but I mean, this is what the case study has shown. We want to use the case study and the conversations that are going to ensue today to begin to see how we can begin to come up with a structured program which can really deal with the problems as we have identified. And we can say that we have, over the years, perfected a partnership collaboration based on principles that underwrites it, so that people who want to partner with ourselves in areas where we operate. At the moment, we are in Sekhukhune East, working with schools there. And as I said, CET is an integral part of that effort. How do we also divert our effort to deal with that space in CET? And in conclusion, obviously, this is a discussion that we hope we will have, talk about the next steps, talk about decisive actions that must be taken. It might not necessarily happen today, but at least this is a starting point where we can start to have conversations that can begin to revitalize this sector that we're referring to, and making sure that there is investment and there is also impact that is intended. Thank you, Program Director.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Themba Mula, for the great insights. So the findings will be shared, if not already, with everyone. But I would like to say, as you go through the findings and as you listen to our panelists here, I want you to consider which of these findings or ideas could drive the most change in your own organization, right? Because most of us are already in business, in nonprofits, so which of these findings could we implement in our own organizations? And next, to talk about the running and outcomes of community education and training, I would like to call Mr. Silayolo Sibitlini, who is the acting principal of LP CET College. Welcome, sir.
Okay. Okay. No, thanks very much, Program Director. Let me start by acknowledging the following people in our midst, the Kagiso Trust Board Member and Chair of the Program Committee, Dean Zoito Neutaru, CEO of Kagiso Trust, Dr. Mankodi Muitse, and then CEO of the Kagiso Trust, Mr. Tamba Mola, the Kagiso Trust officials who are also here, and then also pass my greetings to the Chair of Council, Dr. Takalo, Deputy Chair, Prof. Gola, and our partners as an institution, the sitters that are here, the Office of the Premier Representatives, and Councillor Betty Khare from Polokwane Municipality, our colleagues from the DHET, Mr. Mugano and Dr. Mtungwa from the CET branch, staff members from the Limpopo CET College that are also here today, and those that are joining us online, greetings to you all. I must first tender an apology for the DM, Honorable Manamela. He couldn't join us. The DDG, who was supposed to stand in his behalf, also couldn't join us. The regional manager of Limpopo DHET, Mr. Ramunyatsi, as well, he couldn't be here. There's an important event that is currently underway at Sun City, the G20 discussions. So I was there as well. It started on, we arrived on Monday, and then it started yesterday up until tomorrow, I think. So that's the reason why they couldn't join us, and they requested me to tender their apologies on their behalf. So, Program Director, I really don't know if I should proceed with this presentation that I made, because I think the presentation and the research by VETS, which was presented by Mr. Mola, actually speaks about us. It speaks about where we are, the challenges, and also the kind of interventions that should be put forward to support CET College and CET colleges. And what is also remarkable is that, you know, they find this cut across. They are not necessarily peculiar to Limpopo City College. You go to Gauteng, you go to KZN and Mpumalanga, you will still find, you know, the same kind of circumstances that actually make the CET colleges not to perform as expected. And I like your concluding remarks in the sense that what do we do? Because the information data is available. So we must now move from knowledge generation and maybe out of this finding get to a point where we speak more about implementation and program that will lift the CET colleges to deliver on its mandate. So I'm not sure if it's like my presentation is not visible, but as they are trying to sort that, I must indicate Program Director that this fourth year anniversary and the report as presented could not have come at the right time, because this is the right time as the CET colleges we are celebrating our 10-year of existence. So it coincides well with this program of today. Unlike Prof. Kola, I'm going to declare as well that I studied at the University of Venda, my first degree, and I'm also a beneficiary of Kagiso Trust. I received funding for the 4 years BA Ed qualification still there. And they actually funded everything, you know, tuition, accommodation, meals, and books, you know. So I will forever be indebted to Kagiso Trust, because I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't through that support. So Limpopo CET College, in terms of the presentation outline, I'm not going to go through that, but there's a slide that I've inserted which talks about the evolution of community education and training. It's not part of, included on my slides that I'm sharing. But just to give a background, that community education and training is defined as being located within the community and contributing towards addressing local needs, promoting local development, building a social agency and social cohesion. How the CET colleges came about, the minister then established a ministerial task team to coin and provide a framework as to what kind of institutional type should the CET college take form and shape. And in defining the role that these CET colleges must play, this is what was captured by the ministerial task team. And the focus, therefore, it's about adults and young people who are outside the formal economy, outside formal workplaces, who are not in educational institutions, and who have few access, who have few opportunity to access the first or second chance or learning or lifelong learning. I think that resonates well as well with the report that was shared with us. And in terms of our target market, and Dean, I think when you refer to your experience in the US, Thailand, and other countries, one thing that I've observed as well is that there's huge investment going towards vocational education and training as opposed to investment in universities. And the same applies with student enrollment. You have more students enrolled in colleges as opposed to enrollment at universities. And that paradigm or trend has to be changed. And I think the program director, you mentioned as well that are we visible in communities or not? So I think those are some of the things that we really have to look at. Now, in terms of in terms of the vision, or let me just point a picture of Limpopo province in terms of that, saying that we have 5.9 million people and we represent about 10.4 of the national population. And we contribute as a province 7.3% of the GDP. And adult literacy in the province is estimated at 72%, meaning that 28% of the population in Limpopo can still not read and write. And that should then be the target market of the CET college, but most importantly, how do we bring them into the economic mainstream of the country? Because if we're sitting with 28% of the population who cannot read and write, and we want to reduce unemployment, inequality, and poverty, that simply means we won't be able to do that. And then in Limpopo, the unemployment rate is 36.3%, and this is the highest in the country. and almost 1.7 million constitute what we call the need in the province. So there's no way we can talk of economic growth, we can talk of economic emancipation if the people, the people in the province are not sort of capacitated one way or the other. And as a college, we take part in the Limpopo Economic Development Plan, Limpopo Rural Development Plan, Limpopo Implement Growth and Development Plan, Limpopo Youth Empowerment. So we are part of the Limpopo Skills Development Forum. And we sit in the Limpopo Human Resources Development Council in terms of the contribution that we are making as a college. I'm not going to talk about our vision. Prof. Kula spoke about oh, I must use this, because I'm moving using my laptop. Yeah, okay. All right, then in terms of the vision, I'm not going to talk about the vision. Prof. Kula mentioned what constitutes our values. And then in terms of management and governance, suffice to say that we operate at a rented building. We have a footprint across all the districts in Limpopo, and then constituted by 20 CLC, community learning centers, and then 225 satellite learning centers. And then as a management, then there are 3 DPs and the acting principal, and we are accountable and report to the regional manager, who in turn reports to the DDG, and then DDG to the DG. And that's how we are structured. The college council is in place, and like I said, I account to both the regional manager and the college council. So in terms of our delivery side, I've mentioned that. I'm not going to again indicate, but suffice to say that in total 245 centers. Program qualification mix, we are still heavily involved in AET programs, adult education and training, and then also amended senior certificate, what I think the support programs for those who could not complete grade 12. And then the occupational programs, we are very limited there, which are mainly your learnerships, new venture creation, which is aligned to entrepreneurship development and ancillary healthcare. So there are also short skills programs, which I'm not going to talk about, but I think Dr. Takalo also mentioned some, and the non-formal skills programs. Now, there's mention by one of the speakers that we should focus on vocational education and training. We agree, but the challenge that is confronting us mainly is the issues that relate to accreditation. Because for you to train, vocational programs, you must be accredited. And why not being accredited is because we mainly operate at schools, and our program start in the afternoon. Wait for the formal schooling programs to end at 2:30, 2 o'clock, then we come in the afternoon, from 3 to 5 or 4 to 7, and so on. So there's lack of identity, because even if you are to move around, if you were to look for a board that says Limpopo CET College, you wouldn't find it, because we fight with the whole school principals to say, but these are our premises. So that already is a limitation. So these are some of the non-formal skills programs that we run as, because we employ communities to be self-sustainable, not to buy every thing. So that's why we zoomed into the non-formal agricultural crop farming programs. And then we also have acha making or gem making. These are some of the programs that our centers are running, so that our communities shouldn't go and buy, this gem, this acha, but they can self-produce those kind of items. And then decoration, weddings, funerals now of late. So we train these community members also in that space so that they can actually provide that kind of service. And Pondo, CLC bees making, these are some of the bees that our centers make. We had the DM Gondwe, I think in April, visiting one of our centers, and she bought quite a lot of these beads that were produced here. Pine gel making is one of the skills program that we are also running, so that instead, like I said, instead of buying, communities can buy the items and produce or make pine gels. And then there was mention of digitalization, fourth industrial revolution, and the like. So we are still very lagging behind. But through one of the CETs, they gave us 5 computer labs, which we are making these labs available to our communities as well, particularly grade 12s. If they want to apply at universities, they can use, because we have internet connectivities. But we are mainly training youth in those communities. We have got about 7 labs. And then these sewing programs that we are running, these are non-formal skills programs. Then I'll move to the formal skills programs. This is tiling, which we are running. You can see the construction industry is booming. So we also train community members the needs to be to tile, and garment making as well. These are credit-bearing programs. And then plumbing as well, and then hairdressing. If you were to look around, the majority of people, especially in Joburg and Pretoria, who work on, hairdressing kind of, or who provide these hairdressing services, are mainly foreign nationals. So this is important that we keep our people with this kind of skills. So enrollment, we have made some strides there in terms of AET programs. I think the presentation will be made available. This is the pass rate that our students have achieved from 2023 to 2024. And then throughput certification rate. Of course, there was mention that most of our students do drop out, but at least for those that do or set for examinations, at least 51% of them passed or were certificated with GTC level 1 certificate or IET level 4, meaning that they could then access further education at a TVET college, your NCV program, or our very own credit-bearing learnerships or apprenticeship kind of programs, which eventually lead them to becoming artisans. So student retention, this is the main challenge, because our students, they register, but they don't sit for the final exam for various reasons. I've made a case when we're developing the national student improvement strategy to say, given the socio-economic status, it's difficult to expect, especially in the CET space, students to attend when there's no support. Support in the form of either meals, Mr. COO, which you referred to, the nutrition program at basic school. You go to the TVET, you go to the universities. What happens there? There's NSFAS. NSFAS provides for meals, provides for transport, but CET, there's no such a provision. And hence, we still ask ourselves why students are dropping out. Because you have made a point to say, where in the schooling system, because there's that provision of nutrition, the retention rate has gone up. At TVET, they came up with the attendance and punctuality policy because of the introduction of NSFAS. Simply means you don't attend classes, you don't get your meal allowance, you don't get your transport money. But at the CET, there's basically nothing. And when students, during the course of the year, find informal employment, because if a person comes and then says, come, I've been hired, or I must build a house, and then I need your services, this student will choose to go and work than to continue attending at the CET college. We have witnessed this during the harvest season. You go to Hoedspruit around Mopane and other farming communities. When it's time for harvest, the students from CET college drop out and go and work there. And then they will only come later, and they've missed out, or they don't come at all. Hence the high dropout rate. So we have established partners, I don't want to, with traditional council municipalities, Office of the Premier. So those are some of the partners that we are having. I'll just talk about the CETAs because they, like most of the infrastructure support that we get and training programs that we deliver to students come from these CETAs. But it's not enough, I must say. So these are some of the partners that we are having, the DG in the Premier's office, and then the traditional councils, whole school principals. Because these are the people who, they house us. You can imagine that because we don't have our own infrastructure, it's exam time. Their classes run up to 2:30. We must start with exams at 2:00 until 5. Now, they are important. We must plead with them to say, can you release your students at 1 so that we can prepare the venue for our exam, which starts at 2. So now it becomes a problem. And you look at the chairs. Remember, we operate at the primary schools. You look at the chairs that are in those classrooms. Those chairs are intended for children. And now an adult of 18 years, 25 years, must go and sit on the same chair and write exams or study. That's already an obstacle towards effective education or quality education and training. So this is just one of the programs that we are running with TVET, where they are assisting us actually, where we have been given some classes to manufacture chairs. Now, this Waterberg TVET College, where we have, they have assisted us. We took frames from these old schools where we are operating, took them to Waterberg TVET, to assist us with the refurbishment. What I forgot to mention, Program Director, is that we receive little funding for renovations at these schools. You know the conditions of the schools, you know the cases of toilets and, the kind of, these are post-school education and training students. Now, we then say we'll renovate some of the classrooms. And then upon renovate, this is one where we partnered with a TVET college. They took their civil engineering students, go and do these renovations at a classroom which we are utilizing. Guess what? After we have renovated, then they said, no, we're taking back this, this school because our enrollment has now increased. There are some where we have bought the mobile classrooms funded by some of the CETers, and then they decided, no, because now you have your mobile classrooms, you don't use our classes anymore, regardless of the enrollment being, having increased on our side. So I'm saying, as much as we have this partnership, but you cannot guarantee if you will be there forever. So that's the challenge that we are confronted with. Governance, I've spoken to that. Challenges, I think they are the same, Mr. Mola, inadequate HR capacity. College organogram is still to be finalized, and we have quite a huge number of lecturers that are exiting the system. The statistics from 2022 to now, we have over 170 something who have exited the college. But because we have got too many lecturers, most of them not capacitated or qualified enough to teach our programs, then we speak about the lecturer-student ratio, which now prevents us from appointing additional staff members. So if a person leaves, we say, no, bye-bye. We cannot substitute. And then lecturers who are not fit for purpose. We are talking vocational education and training. These people must be qualified, must be declared competent through accredited bodies. And I can speak for Limpopo CET, is still work in progress. We don't have qualified people or accredited or competent people in plumbing, in electrician. So most of the, if not all the staff members occupy or are responsible for the AET programs. And yet we must move towards vocational education and training. So the CETers are helping us. NSF, we received some funding, but it's just a drop in the ocean. So in terms of infrastructure, something that I forgot to mention, we received, Polokwane municipality donated land to us to build a college and a CLC. So unfortunately, 1 billion was allocated to us by Treasury to build 9 CET colleges across the country. They started with 3 and only discovered that the money is not going to be enough. Therefore, as Limpopo will wait until the next cycle to actually build on the land that has been allocated to us by the municipality. We have land that was donated to us by Thulamela municipality next to the University of Venda. We still cannot move because we do not have funding. So I've already spoken to those infrastructure challenges, and they all revolve around inadequate funding. So in terms of the partnership, I think there's an agreement from the national government, NGOs, municipalities, everybody, that For us to eradicate the triple challenges, there's a need to invest in CET colleges. The question, I look at the celebrations when matric results are released every year. It's a well-staged event, but little is said about what happens to those students who could not make it, who cannot be admitted at universities, who cannot be admitted at TVET colleges. So this CET institutional type, how do we then build it up, capacitate it such that it lives to its mandate or what it's supposed to deliver? So, like I said, we are marking the 10th year anniversary of the CET College, but what is important is we have made some strides, but there's still a lot of work to be done. So, as I conclude, this is one of the students amongst many with the CLC manager at Pumelelo in Bela. So this student completed AET level 4 at this center, and then went to a TVET college where she did NCV level 2, level 3, and level 4. After completing NCV, she then went to the same college to do N4, N5, and N6 in management assistant, and completed her course. Through funding from the CETA, then she's now doing an internship at the very same center where she studied. After the 18 months, then she will get a diploma. And we hope that she will study further, pursue degrees, honors, up to the PhD level, coming from the CET college. We have one who did AET level 4, went to, I think it's Vembe, did, hospitality, and then that student is now in China in the hospitality sector. So the CET can make a huge impact, can make a huge difference in trying to capacitate those that are considered to have not made it through the formal schooling system. We normally we present ourselves as institutions that cater for those that have lost hope, and our role is just to bring them in line to say it's not the end of the world, either through the formal programs, the apprentices, formal skills programs, and so on. I think that concludes my presentation, and thank you very much, Program Director. You know what the minister said yesterday after she delivered a speech? She said, you can do better than that. So I want to repeat that in your round of applause to say, can you please do better than that? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sivitlini, for the great and more insights around the state of our CET sector. Some great insight were shared in there, some challenges were shared in there, and you actually answered one of my questions to say why are CET colleges not visible? You highlighted that you actually have limitations. You can't put a board because you are sharing the infrastructure with, with the schools. So we really thank you for that. And we are honored to have representatives from the Department of Higher Education and Training. I will appreciate if they can stand up as I introduce them. From the Office of the Deputy Director General of the CET, we have Dr. Makosonke Mtungwa. Thank you, sir. And we also have the Director for Institutional Funding, Mr. Mala Mohano. Thank you very much. And I would also like to also acknowledge the presence of our representatives on behalf of our Executive Mayor, Councillor John Makorompe. We have the MMC for Administration and Governments, Councillor Betty Hari. She went out. Okay. But we really appreciate her presence. Well, we've had some strong insights, and now let's hear from you. You're welcome to share either a question or any insight that you would like to add to the conversation. We will have a mic circulating. So if you have either a question, and those that are joining online, we have a chat board. Yeah, feel free to drop some insights or some questions in there. So,
I have two issues that I want to, I'm just provoking people because they're not raising their hands. But the first thing is, I had a funny experience in the rural areas. I wanted to build a cottage. So the place where I had a site, the neighbor said, you can build it. So I wanted to see where he has built. He showed me the work, very good workmanship. And then I hired him, and we had to communicate. So he doesn't have WhatsApp. When I communicate through SMS, he doesn't respond. He phones. And then I was shocked one day. He said, by the way, I can't write. Yes, you can't write. You can read a plan, building plan. You can do all the measurements, exact. I even called the guy, architecture, you know, this guy who draw the plan. Come and check him out. He has a very, very, very good quality of work, but the guy can't write. And it made me think a little bit of what really people should be learning. Because very often we always think that, of course he can count, I think he can. So basically what his literacy level is complete to the skill that he has. Of course it would be good if he can write, but he can't. But the fact that he can't write doesn't mean he can't have a job. So he's very productive, he's working very well. The second issue is that when we talk about this economy that we're talking about, the people, I want to ask a question to my colleague from the colleges. When you start to give us successful examples of people who will go to diplomas, to become graduates, and so on, is that not an antithesis in a way? Because you see, we need different examples. We need people who, just by going to your colleges, can really make it work. I was provoking our university. He doesn't rely on tenders. He has built a huge, but the university has never given him an honorary. So I was really challenging them. Fortunately now that this, hopefully they'll give it to him. He diversifies operating in the space, who go to ABET, who really are successful. So maybe that's where we should. The project that we are working on of refurbishing desks, it's something which is so close to my heart. When I was still in education here, we had a project which has since collapsed with correctional services, where we were asking them to, you see, if you go to almost every school, I went to a school called Pepu, they have like, behind the hall, it's just full of broken desks and steel, which can still be utilized. So when you were talking about that, I was so heartened about it. I thought, hey, here you have got such an important project, which is impart skills, but can also really add a lot in terms of infrastructure for learning and teaching. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you. Now, Dean is happy that now you are raising hands. I think he has done his job. Yeah, I wanted to pick up on an issue of pathways to the economy or new economies. And I really believe that us sitting here, we are on our own in a way. And maybe it's a healthy way of thinking about it. Because at one point, we are custodians of offering or creating this skills pool. But unless somebody wants the skill, and I figured out people vary in marketing, most of the things we are consuming, they made us to consume them. And it's very true. The coffee, the frisco. But our palates have been educated to drink other things, Jacobs now. So somebody is creating a market deliberately. And maybe part of the thinking, colleagues, is how do we have think of the pathways towards the economy that we want to drive? Because I'm also thinking that, and please you'll pardon me, okay, this one. The I'm just talking about, when we talk about pathways to market, there's a quality issue as well. Because at the beginning, people will do sympathy buying. But sympathy buying lasts you just once. It doesn't attract the next person. So as part of engaging, what do we do? I guess my contribution is, let's think about the pathway to the economy that these products and these learners are going to provide. Thank you.
Thank you. And we also have, before Dr. Takalo, we also have contributions online. So we have Taulela Edward Nengondeni, who says, take this technological advancement to those rural areas because it'd be difficult for rural communities to come to town. As to how, we need to discuss this further. And then we have Ndikis Verter, who says we need to reduce or where possible remove the cost attached to enroll for any of the adult and community programs for as long as it remains a fully commercial endeavor for the organizers. The pace of absorption and participation will be retarded. And then we have, I think it's Namhla, who says develop a plan for promoting entrepreneurship programs among graduates. And then we have this one, I think it's AI Fireflies, AI note taker. No, sorry, so this is just a note from AI, the note taker. And then we also have Livingstone, who says encourage individuals to become ambassadors for community education and training, colleges, and promote the Limpopo Community Education and Training College. And then this one it's unassigned. It says unassigned. It says promote access to colleges and upscale opportunities for young people not in education, employment, or training. At Kagiso Trust, invest in colleges to provide resources for innovation and skills development. And then this one comes from Kagiso Trust. It says, explore how to make CET colleges more visible in rural communities. And over to you, Dr. Takalo.
Thank you very much. I hope this is working. I liked the online marks of contributions because they are coming up with possible solutions. But I would like to mention there is a process called RPL, recognition of prior learning. And the very, very good business people that we have out there, our institutions can take them through that process, where they look at the skills that they have. There are criteria that are going to be followed, and the people will have a certificate that recognizes their prior learning, so that we don't lose that. And those people are possible mentors also, as well as people that can help in the practical work of our students. The entrepreneur, everybody is entrepreneur, entrepreneur, entrepreneur. And that's what is going to uplift our society. And just by the way, my granddaughter is supposed to go to school. She's supposed to go to get a diploma and so on. Then she had a conversation with her dad. And she said, Dad, you know what, I appreciate the fact that you want me to go to school, but I want to follow my passion. And my passion is business. Please allow me, I'll go back to school, but please allow me to build my business. If we look around, today's kids are very business-minded. And it's for us that are in the education and training field to look at how to assist them, how to support them. Because we know they may not be aware that they are very key to the economy of the country. Sorry, but we know that they are key, and it's for us to support them. The pathways I like. You see, there is a little problem, or maybe a little challenge, that curricula are designed and decided elsewhere. You see, if we could break that, I don't know, mode of let's be creative about curriculum development. Let's allow people to conceptualize curricula based on a principle of let's look at the pathways. That I wouldn't mind participating in that. Chulela in the online contributions talked about communication. Could someone at a corner just take this discussions of Starlink very seriously? Because should we have Starlink, most of the problems in our rural areas will be solved, because it can go even inside a cage or a cave. So we are calling on the powers that be to say speed up the partnerships with Starlink, so that we in rural areas can see progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will take one more, since we actually started 10 minutes late. Okay, cool.
I can.
Okay. That's
I'll
fine.
continue.
Yes,
Oh, sorry.
yes, please. You're welcome.
I appreciate this discourse. I think the title of this meeting is Reflections. I just have 3 things to throw. These are not solutions. It's for us to keep on thinking. The first one, I think there's a need for harmonizing how we work with communities. One of the main focus or mandate of universities is to do is to be engaged in communities. And I think universities or even colleges, they have strict rules and regulations that often make it difficult for communities to come into the picture. For example, I think on the 11th of April, we had a function where we involved communities, a particular community. And at that meeting, we said, no, we're not going to hire people from outside that community, that village. We're going to use people who are there. So guess what? When these people, the tent makers, the toilet people, the wood and so on, the water, when they came to be paid, we had a struggle because they didn't have business accounts. And then you could understand they cannot have a business account because there's no business going. It's just coming once in a month or once in 2 months. So my point is, I think there's a need. I don't know who can start that discussion. There's a need that we harmonize how communities can join into the formal stream of the economy. Because then I went to the CFO and we discussed, no, but the CFO, these people can never have business accounts in the state in which they are. So she was agreeable that we should defer. What is the term? Not where you say we are. This is the rule. Yeah, we move we change the rule. We accommodate the rule. Yeah, I think that deviation. That's the term I wanted. So that's the first point I want us to think about. How do we, move for this if we are to include communities? The second thing is, maybe I'm a beginner here about community colleges. What is the role of government? Because it seems like the colleges are stepchildren. They are not legitimate children. Is there a budget? That's a question, I don't know. But if there's a budget, is it not covering infrastructure? Because it seems there's a problem with, they just go about begging, can we use this room? They say, no, go out. We are in the exam now. They go to that room. I think that's something that we need to engage the government about. Is there a budget, and how is that? Why is the budget not covering these issues? Okay. The last one is we need to redefine success. So when the principal was giving us a success, he's talking about that lady in the last slide who's going to be possible of going to the university. As long as we think that going to the university is our measure of success, we're not going to succeed. So let us be happy if a person has no degree, but is employing 5 people, employing 10 people. That's how the economy can go. This myth about university being a standard, I think must be corrected. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Prof. And before we take the last hand in the room, I would like to read through the online comments. So we have Dean Nebutalu Bantwini Matika, who says, what is the possibility of training former players to be coaches and be placed in village and township schools? And then we also have, this one, it's a direct message. It says, we are a non-profit grassroots sports development program based in the Eastern Cape and working with township and rural schools. We would like to be working with the trust to train unemployed youth in sports as coaches to be placed in different schools in the townships. And then we have Chantal Damini, who says, who do we write to for partnership purposes? I have a registered NPO with a mandate to equip learners with the knowledge, skills, and tools they need to speakers or facilitators to skills and tools they need to effectively navigate life.
We have collaborated with few local schools and professional speakers or facilitators to address learners regarding critical topics that are normally underlooked, which is a causation of youth unemployment, stagnation, dropouts, and mental health issues. Can I please get all the details for partnership or collaboration? And we have Ndikis Vetter again, who says, why must communities be prevented from using school buildings to conduct these programs? The state must change the laws to allow school buildings to become true community centers. Too much power lies with the principal and the SGB with respect to this matter. And then we have Jacqueline Matthews, who says, other than advertising the CET on the host school premises, have others perhaps tried other ways to improve visibility and awareness? And Ndikis Werter again says, the alternative is that we must pay near commercial rates to hire other buildings. So I'm gonna take the last hand in the room. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Colleagues, good afternoon. Oh, good morning. Good morning, rather. I want to refer to Dean Neutaro's assertion that CET colleges need a lot of support, but unfortunately, we're talking about private investments. And Prof has just also referred to that to say he's not seeing or is not hearing much about public funding. Yeah, I think that's where the challenge is with CET. Until public funds are committed to an extent that this program can run sufficiently, I think we'll be getting into most of these meetings, talking and without much avail. There's much to be desired in terms of public funding. This sector has been getting about 2.2 billion until now, just 1 billion. And we're talking about nine colleges and more than 600 centers. So you are not able to move well in terms of efficiency in these centers. I did not introduce myself, as I was not even introduced. I am an acting director in the CET unit. My main responsibility is to head a team of monitors that go around these centers, checking on what is happening. And when you look around, you really decry the situation that you find around, even in terms of skills. Credit must be given to the college that some of the things flighted here and some that were not flighted are really happening. But much is to be desired. Just a day before yesterday, I went to a center. There were about 30-something students. These people were knitting dresses using hand needles. And they were coming up with products, but you really try and check against developments in the country to say, at this stage, are we really still knitting using hand needles? And it's not just one center. I went to another center, I found the same. But the issue is until we found enough funding, and with the background that was given by Dean Neutaro, that in the USA, for example, some of these skills that you really ignore are employing a lot of people. And Renee, in South Africa, we have got a challenge. We are producing a lot of graduates and these people are there without employment. They are sitting down there without employment. So if a lot of funding could be injected in this sector, I think it will be part of the solution that we need in terms of employment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate the great insights and the great input. Just to close off, I mean, online, we have Nomazibulo Tricolo, who says, are the current programs offered at LP CET centers aligned with local economic opportunities and skills demands to link innovations that can be introduced to make CETs more relevant in a changing world, to measure the success and impact of CET in communities? So thank you very much. I really appreciate everyone for their inputs. We really appreciate the great insights. And to close our session and reflect on the path ahead, I now invite Dr. Mankodi Moiti. Sorry. Oh, okay. Okay. Apologies, she says she has an input. If we can give her the mic.
Good afternoon, good morning everyone. I'm Makwena Betikhari, MMC responsible for administration and governance, Kamo Polokwane municipality. I here standing for MMC responsible for what we are doing here. So
Welcome.
I promise that going back, I will definitely sit down with the relevant MMC and share with her everything so that she can continuously interact with relevant directors or whoever is in charge of the program. Because I once heard about this Kagiso Trust, I was still between 20 and 25 years old, long time ago. But today is here, and I do appreciate, because I know that it is a very, very important program. Thank you very much, and sorry for just taking your time.
Thank you very much, MMC.
But what I can share with you is that I'm pregnant with information, and this information is definitely going to assist us, because I'm not working alone during our meetings, different types of meetings. I'll timeously share with my colleagues, who are counselors and directors, to say, hey, don't miss this point. I heard that we can change, because change is really a good thing which we must continuously engage on. Thank you.
Thank you, MMC. We really appreciate your presence. And to close our session and reflect on the path ahead, I now invite Dr. Mankodi Moiti, the Chief Executive Officer of Kagiso Trust, to share her words of commitment and vision.
Thank you very much, our chairperson. Actually, the MEC made it easy for me. MMC, yes, MMC made it easy. Our words of commitment is exactly that through your office, we look forward that this sector be coordinated so that our voice could be stronger. So thank you so much. Let me start by thanking those that are online so that I don't forget. I mean, I looked at the contributions. I agree, ma'am, very, very powerful contributions from online. And it shows that this topic, people are hungry. People have been observing, we have been observing, but maybe we never had an opportunity. And I really want to thank the Kagiso team under the leadership of the COO to really have had that foresight to conceptualize. I mean, sitting around this room, there are professors, and they would know that to define a study, it takes long. To conduct a study, ask the right question, it takes long. So thank you for the leadership, my colleagues, to make sure that this day becomes a possibility. I want to also make a special acknowledgement to Professor Temane. I know that others have been acknowledged, so I also want to acknowledge you, Woody, by name. Thank you for honoring us with your presence. You know, as KT management, we are really blessed. We really honestly blessed to have visionary board members, and that really drive the direction of the organization intentionally. Most of the time when I sit in the boardroom, I always wonder, do these conversations that are taking place here take place somewhere else also in different rooms? And I think we can see with what has happened today has really been an outcome of such leadership and direction. So Dean, thank you so much on behalf of all of us and management. Pass our appreciation to the chair of the trust for also allowing you to come and be with us here. So we thank you for that. I also want to acknowledge really the remarkable work of CET leadership. We are grappling with something important here. And I think no matter how difficult it is, let's commit to continue. You know, 10 years is a short time. And I think we still have the opportunity to really make strides in this place. So the council, thank you so much for your input, the lecturers, the stakeholders. Let's keep going. I think we are our best voice. I was thinking, listening to the last speaker when he spoke about funding. When you look at the fiscus and when you look at how we arrived at budget 3.0, it's a lot and lot of options. I mean, a lot and lot of competing priorities. So how are we gonna make sure that we become front or top of mind? It's conversations like this. It's you getting into LinkedIn. How many of you are on LinkedIn? Yeah, you see now, I'm watching those who are not on LinkedIn. Go and write about it. It doesn't have to be much. Social media, maybe not just LinkedIn, social media. Just go write what an enlightening and complex conversation we had about CETs. Some people will be hearing that for the first time. So let's give CET a voice. Use our Facebook. If you're like me, I write something, I slip over it because I'm not used to, I'm always worried, am I saying the right thing on social media? So whatever you can, contribute by writing something. So we thank the Limpopo CET College Council, the college management for accepting our request to host this. You know, I was just thinking about it quickly. With our program in basic education in Free State, right now when you talk about the leaders in basic education, despite the challenges, we say Free State. Maybe this is an opportunity for Limpopo, that when people say pioneers who have changed the face of CET, they should say Limpopo. So we can give a country an asset. So sitting here, we are a collective that can do something very different. So we definitely gained a lot today, and we really, really appreciate that you gave us a chance that when we celebrate our 40 years as Kagiso Trust, that we can really meet with you here to debate on this topic. Thank you so much to all our speakers. Thank you for all the stakeholders of CET. Today we are registering ourselves as stakeholders of CET. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, the office of the minister is here, ne? Literally notes akere. Hey, hopefully you have taken the notes. We do appreciate the deputy minister cannot be everywhere, but we are saying because you are here today, you have taken the notes, please represent us and make sure that the notes of this rich discussions reach her office. So we really want to thank you so very much. And today, also as we close, do we do the gifts first or the party first after? Or the gifts, are you coming to? So I'm gonna ask my colleague Mujaji to come up front to help us to appreciate our speakers of today. Yeah. I record ballooning. Okay. Yeah.
I'll start with.
Do you want to come here? Oh, okay. Let's do this.
Mr. Facilitator, thank you so much for. Okay. Sorry, just a second. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Back.
Must I push it back? All right, I'll end up with the facilitator. I want to start with Prof. Kola for always gracing our occasion and traveling with all of us, skukune around the province, and for really making time to come today. We just have a small token of appreciation for you coming. Thank you. Okay.
Just welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dr. Takalo? You know, CEO, I think Dr. Takalo taught me when I was doing BA at University of Limpopo, didactics. Thank you very much. I'm proud of you. So we can remember everywhere. So this is where we started. I had to call his head. Please, let's make this happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Judge.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This one is yours. Dinzo. Dinzo made us do the research. We thank him for keeping us paid. Definitely.
Thank you.
Dr. Sebetlene.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Sebetlene.
pleasure. You are always welcome.
So he made it happen.
I left the G20.
We'd like to thank the facilitator. Thank you. food is served.
Okay, sorry. Okay. So thank you very much for your energy, your honesty, and your commitment today. And may this colloquium be the first of many. Because transforming CET is not a one-day task, but a long-term collective mission. So please join us now for lunch and continued networking. The work begins here, but it does not end here. And I would also like to call for a group picture against this backdrop with all the speakers.
Can they cut cake?
Yes, yes, that would be nice. Okay, so in the meantime, feel free to go and have lunch and network while the speakers are taking photographs.
Speaker Mora?
Center in Skukuni, where you are currently based. Ne?
Yes.
We are going to,
Yeah, we're also going.
I think it's here. Come on.